General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Broadcasting live on WNN 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and the World Wide Web. This is Make America Think Again with your Google blacklisted host, Tom Trento.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
Yeah, on the 26th of December, one day after Christmas. Are we still blacklisted by Google?
Yes.
We are. What does that mean?
That means they can't find us. Nobody can find us.
Oh, somebody wanted to go to theunitedwest.org and have a little ampersand. You know what an ampersand is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The and sign.
Yeah. I was talking to some people today. They didn't know what an ampersand is. But if somebody wanted to Google the United West and say Israel news or anything related to news or anything of substance, we're not coming up in the Google search. They were busted. Google was busted about a month ago by four investigative writers from the Washington Post, and they listed us in their about 10,000 word story.
That was the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal. That's right. The Post isn't going to go against Google. The Post probably is going to. No, Google's. I don't know. Would Jeff Bezos, worth about $50 billion, would he buy Google, or would Google buy him?
FYI, the United West does Google.
No, but
yes.
the United West does Google. But if you try to put a "and" with it and stuff like that, then
they blacklisted the using United West to search for legitimate news. That was the thrust of it. Now, that was about a month ago. We should check to see if it's changed. That'd be very interesting.
Well, what's also interesting is we know this for a long time. They've blacklisted our videos. I mean, one time
YouTube,
I put
which is owned by Google.
Yeah. I just to do a test one time. I put up a 30-second vid of nothing but just a black screen, no sound, no audio, and it comes back. Your video is not suitable content for distribution.
Content unsuitable. Unbelievable. In any event, today, ladies and gentlemen, on this Thursday, beautiful Thursday in South Florida, day after Christmas, you are going to want to listen to this show. You're going to want to tell all your friends about it. We are going to expose. We're going to expose. That's what we do at the United West. We're investigative individuals, a team working on counterterrorism issues primarily, dealing with Islamic Jihad and the Marxist movement in the United States. We're going to expose something today about Mayor Pete Buttigieg, whatever.
Beetlejuice.
Mayor Beetlejuice. We're going to expose something about his daddy, about his father, who died the beginning of the year, just before his son announced. 71 years old, Joseph Buttigieg. You are not going to believe. Now, a story was done last April. A very, very, very important story about who Joseph Buttigieg is and his relationship to his son. And the story was spiked by the mainstream media. They don't want you to know what we're going to tell you today. Unbelievable. And when we connect the dots, that's what we do here at the United West. We connect the dots. When we connect the dots between Mayor Pete's father, Joe, and some other interesting individuals in world history, you're going to go, oh my God, or you're going to write to your friend, what the F is going on?
No, it's amazing.
So tune in, stay tuned in, contact your friends, say, Trento is going to tell us something about Joe Buttigieg, and you'll see. Hang on. But right now, we got to reflect on the day, Christmas. On Monday and Tuesday, we did an overview on Hanukkah and what it's all about. And it's essentially a war story. The candles and the lighting, that actually was inserted into the story about 600 years after it occurred by rabbis and scholars who said, there's probably was a miracle there. So as great as that is, lighting the candles and one each night for the 8 days, and we went over this in detail, don't lose sight do not lose sight that Hanukkah was a civil war that occurred in Jerusalem in 164 BC, between the Syrian Greeks led by Antiochus IV, who co-opted a bunch of Jewish leaders, the various priests, the elite, to agree to Hellenize, to make Jerusalem Greek. But a bunch of devout believers, fundamentalists, if they were Christians, we would call them fundamentalist Christians, holding to the truth of God's word, said no way. And the war broke out between the Syrian Greeks with the Jewish elite against this small family, the Maccabee family. Wasn't their name, it was a title given to them. Maccabee means the hammer. The son who led the revolt was Judah the Maccabee, Judah the hammer. And he formed a small guerrilla army and over 4 years defeated the Syrian Greeks. And then in 164 actually, for 4 years they fought, came to the temple in Jerusalem and saw that it was desecrated, rededicated the temple, lit the menorah, which is 7 candles, one in the middle, the servant, 3 others. Historically, that's been in the temple for 2,000 years. And there wasn't enough, as the story goes, enough oil for 8 days. They were celebrating. Well, they wanted to light it. It would last only 1 day. It lasted 8 days. So out of that grew the story of Hanukkah and the miraculous extent of the candelabra being lit. And so a new candelabra was designed, not with 7 candles, but with 9, one in the center called the servant, and then the 4 others lit each consecutive day. I think we're on day 5 or 6 for Hanukkah. It started last Sunday, and today Jews celebrate every night and have fun and remember. But our point last week, or this week, was to our Jewish brothers and sisters, let each lighting of the candle each night reflect one of the battles that was fought by your Jewish ancestors to preserve the Torah, preserve monotheism against the pagan culture that was trying to take it away. That was a lesson here at Make America Think on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, what did we do, Mark, on Wednesday? No. We have to get our timing better. On Wednesday, we read the Christmas story from the Bible.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about eating.
No, we read the Christmas story from the Bible, and we laid that out.
To fly a rocket ship, you need...
On Thursday was Christmas. Now, get ready to queue up, Mark. How was your Christmas?
No, I already did it once. I'm not doing it again.
Mark
What's disgusting enough?
Mark was supposed to play the world's longest burp after I said to Mark, how was your Christmas? So how was your Christmas?
It's actually really good. I watched It's a Wonderful Life in the movie theater, which is really, really cool. I highly recommend that for anybody. Die Hard, Mars Attacks, and Galaxy Quest. The 4 best movies in the world.
You watched all of those?
Yeah.
Was that like some sort of...
marathon, yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, like a little marathon thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was. It was just fun playing games, stuff like that.
All right. Very nice. That was good. I relaxed with some friends and just hung out a little bit and did some preparation yesterday. And I get up very early in the morning to do final preparation. And what I found last night, I said, oh, man, I had a whole different show planned for today. And we will do the other show in the future. Dove Fisher, D-O-V, Rabbi Dove Fisher, F-I-S-H-E-R, out of California. An amazing guy, scholar, activist, all of that. He wrote an article on how people have lost the sight of Hanukkah and Christmas, and how there's a cultural attack against both, and how Jews and Christians need to come together to fight the cultural attack by the jihadists and the Marxists. Right up our alley. I reached out to him, but we're on different time zones here. So we will get him on the show, and we will have him go through this. And an amazing guy. He's debated one of our nemesis, Alush Hussein, who is the head of CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations out of Los Angeles. You remember him?
Yeah, he's a real tool.
Yeah, Dove debated him and just, kicked him around.
We ran into him in Washington, D.C. on the steps at one time. We had a long interview, and he was just, he could not get away from Tom quick enough,
He thinks he's, Allah's gift to mankind. Hussein Alouche. I've dealt with him. I've run into him in California many times. We let's just say we're not the best of friends, and he did not. I'll repeat for the audience here at 11:13 a.m. in the morning, WNN 1470, Hussam Alouche, the head of CARE. This guy's a jihadi, a cultural jihadi. He did not send me a Christmas gift. And I'm brokenhearted over that.
I was left off there too, Tom,
Yeah. But speaking of Christmas, we had some interesting developments at Mar-a-Lago, and Mar-a-Lago is in South Florida. We're located in South Florida. The President of the United States of America came home because this is now his official residence, and he spoke over last weekend to Turning Point, 5,000 activist kids who are all becoming hardcore conservative thinkers. Man, that's good news once in a while. And they have about 1,000 organizations set up, Turning Point organizations, on campuses throughout the United States. President spoke to them. Many of them will remember that the rest of their lives. And then he had some parties at Mar-a-Lago. But then he took time out he and FLOTUS, you know what FLOTUS is?
First Lady.
First Lady. POTUS is President of the United States. FLOTUS, FL, First Lady of the United States. And there's people in the audience going, I didn't know that. That's why we're here, to make America think again. We want you to think. Well, the President and FLOTUS had a really wonderful message for America. I want you to listen to it. It's very important. And in light of the attack against evangelicals, and evangelicals coming to the defense of the president.
Oh, I like that. I like to see all those evangelicals turn out.
We have this battle going on. A group of small group of evangelicals, Bible-believing Christians, are demanding the removal, not just the impeachment, the removal of the president based upon his morality. His morality is not sufficient enough for these leading evangelical thinkers to occupy the office of the president. And then a bunch of evangelicals came in his defense saying, look, we don't have to agree with the guy's morality. We're interested in his policies. Are his policies reflecting biblical morality? And the rhetorical question from the good evangelicals thrown to the bad evangelicals is, if you don't want President Trump, who do you want Christianity today? And that's yet to be answered. But in that context, the president says something very interesting. In his, and you're going to hear this in a minute, in his address to the nation about Christmas, he includes himself as a believer of Jesus Christ, his Lord and Savior, our Lord and Savior. That's pretty heavy duty for a president to make that kind of statement. Now, does he mean it? Does he not? I don't know. But he said it, and he didn't have to say it. But let's just listen to this wonderful Christmas message from the president and his wife, Melania.
The President and I want to wish each and every American a very Merry Christmas.
At this sacred time of year, Christians celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and rejoice in his love for every person. We give thanks for the millions of Americans who come together to care for others with compassion and bring the warmth and bliss of this holy season to our families, our friends, our neighbors, and to those in need.
As we gather with loved ones this holiday, Americans across this land are grateful for all the men and women in uniform who keeps us safe, our military, our police, and everyone in law enforcement.
We say a special prayer for those military service members stationed far from home, and we renew our hope for peace among nations and joy to the world. On behalf of the entire Trump family, we wish everyone a joyous and Merry Christmas and a very happy, happy New Year.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, coming from a video production standpoint? This wasn't just an off-the-cuff, sit down and talk to the cameras type of thing. This was actually a very pre-produced with B-roll and everything else on it. So the part about the Jesus Christ was intentionally put in there with a great amount of thought. It wasn't just a off-the-cuff shoulder thing.
And he is infamous or famous, however you want to look at it, for editing the speeches that are written for him.
He was clearly reading that one, too.
Yeah, he was reading it because, whenever you put stuff, it always drives me crazy when leaders use the prompters because they become this stilted, robotic person. But it's at times when the importance of each word that's going into the national record. This will be in the national record for the next 1,000 years, if this country lasts that long, for the next 1,000 years. So whenever you're writing something into the record, it's essential to read it off the prompter, because if you make a mistake there, the written record is what goes in, and you don't want to make a mistake there, and you don't want him winging stuff or anybody, and every president has done this. So he could have easily said, not us, but for them, for Christians, it's their Lord and Savior, but he included himself. Now, as our the opponents would say, there he is. He's a con job. He's a deal maker.
Well, we know how serious Nancy is about her religion, So
yeah, exactly. But this is going to be a centerpiece of the battle in 2020. And what we like to say, and we're kind of coining a new not a motto, but just a new idea that you got to have. In this coming year, which is just a week away, you got to have 2020 vision. 2020 vision, and what we mean by that is to have a focus on November 3rd to save America. The stakes are being increased, Mark. Not just the executive branch winning for President Trump, and I know people are saying there's going to be a landslide and all of that. Don't bet on that. Do not bet on that.
Well, you have to look at it even further than that. I know everybody was talking about Trump getting elected, but it's actually, we need to get all the congressmen elected, because if you don't, you're going to have more investigations and more everything, and stuff's just not going to get done.
Got to get the House, absolutely.
Got to get the House. That's as big, if not bigger, than Donald Trump, believe it or not, because Trump can't do anything if his hands are tied by the House.
And 11:21 in the morning on a beautiful December 26th. Right now, I know for a fact, there's thousands, millions of mothers. The fathers are MIA. I got to go to cut the grass. Millions of mothers running around the home, picking up paper and broken toys and, wrappings. And what are we going to do to get all this stuff? Cookies all over the place. Parties yesterday and family dinners and wonderful time. I saw so much on Facebook of friends of ours with big family parties. Today's a cleanup day for everybody. But as we wind down 2019 and then blast off for 2020, want everybody to get ready. Tune in to our show every day. And if you can't come in live, go to our website, theunitedwest.org. You're not Google blocked from going to our website. That's not what they did. So you can still get there. We want you to get there. And you'll see the podcasts, the posting of each of our shows. You got to look at the date and the title to see which one you're interested in. You should be interested in all of them. They're great stuff. We do great stuff here, like we're going to do today. So, 26th of December. Our station is WWNN 1470. You can listen on 95.3. We are also headed to Israel in May, and we want you to come. If you're interested in anything related to the Middle East, the time is to come with us. We're leaving May 18th through the 29th, and we're going to be there about 10 days, 10 amazing days. We've never had anybody, we've been there many times, who has come. On the front end, they've always said, I'm worried there's going to be a war, it costs money. Whenever they've come, they've never said, you know what, I'm sorry I came. They always say, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, it is.
Nothing can be more exciting than the Middle East these days. Right now, today, the fate of Benjamin Netanyahu. The current,
is that today?
Yeah, well, the current prime minister there's an election coming up, a third election within a year coming up in March of 2020.
Oh, March, okay.
But within the party, the Likud party, and comparatively the Likud, L-I-K-U-D, the Likud party would be similar to the Republican Party. That's the conservative party.
They'd be more like the Freedom Party. If we like the Freedom Caucus that we have, they're not like the Republicans. The Republicans
we have a two-party system, and to bring the cookies to the lower shelf, the Likud party is like the Republican Party.
All right.
And right now there's a battle within the Republican Party because it's a parliamentary system. They don't have to stay elected for the given term. They could disband like Britain does. They could disband their government, or they can pick a new leader if they're tired of the prime minister. Today, there is an election between Benjamin Netanyahu and Gideon Sa'ar as to who will be the leader of the Likud party. So there's an internal battle going on. And I don't think by the time we get off the air, 12 o'clock, add 7 hours, by 7 o'clock, they won't know. But tomorrow's show will tell you whether or not Benjamin Netanyahu is still the leader of the Likud party. Now, if he loses, that's not going to bid well for him in the March election. If he wins, he has a better chance of the Likud party winning more seats, 61 seats, in some sort of coalition. We'll keep you informed on that.
So is it really close?
No, it's not that close. They're saying he should win.
Right.
But the Israelis, when they go voting,
you never
it's
know
like
what happens.
sausage. It's like watching sausage be made. Like, oh my God, what are
That
they
is
doing?
the craziest system in the world.
It's unbelievable. Our dear friend and our mentor on all things Middle East and Israel, Ronnie Wexler, he doesn't understand it. I go, Ron, I don't. He goes, I don't. I live there. I'm born there. I've been in the middle. I can't understand how all this stuff works all the time. These people are crazy sometimes,
And the judiciary over there is like worse than ours. And anyway, go ahead.
They have no accountability, limited accountability. The Supreme Court, and they really run the country. So, but in other Middle Eastern news, very, very important stuff going on. Israel has assisted through their Shin Bet, their various intelligence organizations, and their 8200 unit 8200, which is very similar to the NSA, National Security Administration, here in terms of intelligence, electronic surveillance worldwide. Well, Israel's got this thing nailed in the Middle East. They can listen to anybody, anywhere, anytime in the Middle East on anything. Whatever you're doing, you're using electricity, they can understand, and they can.
Even if you turn your cell phone off, they can listen to it.
Whatever. Well, they just they're allowing some information to be leaked out, but they assisted Denmark in stopping an attack that was going to occur there. And over the past year or so, over 450 attacks were stopped, planned attacks.
Really?
Because they're coming out of the Middle East, these attacks. They may
Right.
occur in Europe or somewhere, but the direction is coming out of the Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran or Iraq or Jordan or Egypt. So they listen and they go, oh, you guys are talking about taking a flight to Istanbul and then to Rome and then driving into Paris and taking a flight there and going into Denmark and blowing up a railroad station. Okay. We'll tell our Denmarkian friends what's going on. So the Israeli intelligence is simply amazing. But now this is not counterintuitive. This is why we go to Israel. The next little tidbit I'm going to tell you about the Middle East and Israel should not scare you away from coming on our trip. And if you want to come on our trip, go to our website, JerusalemDay2020.com. But right now, the chief of staff, the top guy out of all the Israeli military, is saying we have to prepare for a strategic, possibly limited, possibly extended war against none other than Iran. Iran is trying to go to the west from Iran all the way to the Mediterranean, have a land bridge, put missile batteries in Syria to get closer to Israel, to be part of a tripartite attack. Missiles coming down from the north in Lebanon through Hezbollah, missiles coming from the west in Hamas in Gaza, and then missiles coming from the border in Syria, and then just, missile Israel to their knees where they surrender. This is the plan. And Chief of Staff Aviv Kokavi is saying, I got to get the country ready. Something's going to happen, and I got to tell you, people are going to die. This is not going to be an easy battle, and it's going to be extended. So the resilience of the Israelis is being measured and developed right now. But preemptively, Israel is hitting these missile batteries that are being built in Syria, and they're starting to tell the world we're hitting them because they ain't coming into Syria to get close to us with their short-range missiles. So this is playing out every day in the Middle East. And if you like a little excitement in your life, come with us, and you can see up front and personal what's going on. But you know what? If you're with us and all that right now on the beaches in Tel Aviv, Mark, what's going on the beaches in Tel Aviv today?
Well, they're out enjoying the most beautiful beaches in the world, by the way. And I'm not just saying this to sell a trip. They are the most beautiful beaches in the world. The sand is like baby powder. It is that soft. And, yeah, just a beautiful time.
And they're out. I mean, are they worried about Iran or anything? No, they're not worried about anything.
And once you get over there, for like 4 years, I used to worry every time before I went over there. And then when I get there, it's like, what am I worried about? Okay, I'm more in danger going to Chicago than I am going to Tel Aviv. It's it just goes away. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful experience, but the resilience of the typical Israeli, and when we talk about Israelis, we're not talking about Chuck Schumer, a New York Jew, or Jerry Nadler, or we're not talking about snowflake Jewish people in America. We're talking about men and women who have been raised from day one on the Torah, and they understand the importance of communicating God's truth, number one, and they understand the importance of defending their country. Look, Israel could have 10 million nuclear weapons. I guarantee you, if nobody bothers them, they're not going to blow anybody up. You give 10 million nuclear weapons to Iran, they're going to blow everybody up, because they have it as part of their theological doctrine to control the world. Jewish doctrine doesn't say, you got to control the world. It says to live, just be alone. The Jews have a saying, a historic saying, because they have so many holidays where they celebrate, and you ask them, why do you have so many holidays? Well, we've always come under attack, and we celebrate every victory and whatever. And they'll tell you this little ditty. They say, what we believe is they attacked us, we won, let's eat. That's how the Jews think, right?
Right.
The enemy attacked them, we won, now it's time to have a party and celebrate. And that's the way they live. They live in this contradiction of this threat, 330 million people all around them who want to push them from the river to the sea, but they live every day vivaciously and successfully. Look at how, if you had a business in the midst of a horrible neighborhood where everybody was against you, and that business just flourished and grew, and people were flying in to buy stuff from your store, and you had everything was beautiful, and you're exporting tremendous technology, you go, how the hell does that work? They're in a horrible neighborhood, but they're doing such productive stuff. That's what's going on in Israel. Right. Horrible neighborhood, extremely productive. You want to see the hand of God on a nation.
And Iran, if you look at on the other hand, Iran is crumbling from within right now, and they can't pay their bills and they can't do anything. And so the country usually, what happens in that case, either two things: a country is usually overthrown when it gets to that desperation point, or it goes to war. And Israel believes it's the latter that's happening before they'll be overthrown.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now at the bottom of the hour, it's 11:33 in the morning on on a Thursday morning, day after Christmas. Tom Trento, your host. Make America Think. That's our. If you had to visualize what's going on in our studio, and someday when we raise enough money to get our TV component going here, you can see what we're doing. We'll have a little sign that says "Make America Think Again." We think that's important because a thinking electorate, a thinking citizenry, a thinking sovereign has more possibility to live successfully in terms of their relationship with God, their relationship with their fellow man. The more you think positively about that which is true, the less chance of division and anger and hatred and vitriol and all of that, and the more successful you could be in implementing policies that are good for individuals and for a nation. We have found the Democrat Party and the people on the left and the Marxists have abandoned logical thinking. They're emotional for the most part, and as a result, they are moving in a direction that's detrimental to the ideals and principles of George Washington, of Thomas Jefferson, of Benjamin Franklin, of Madison, who they're quoting a lot, even Thomas Paine. These people wouldn't even know any of these individuals if they were sitting down talking to them. They wouldn't know who they were because they don't understand the thinking and the philosophical and political thinking at their level. In fact, up until this impeachment, the left wanted to ostracize the white slave owners who wrote the Constitution. We need to fix the Constitution. That's the hypocrisy on the left. This show here is to help you think again properly. It will help save America. Now, here's the challenge for today as we get into some very disturbing information. Back in April of this year, a story was written in the Washington Examiner, small little publication, but these two writers, Emily Larson and Joseph Simonson, did a phenomenal job and of an investigation. And somebody from PJ Media, PJ is Pajamas Media, old conservative blog. The whole idea was, you know what, we can do news in our pajamas, sitting around in the morning.
Better than the New York Times can, that's for damn sure.
So they named it PJ Media, probably 15 years ago. Well, Jim Treacher wrote an article April 2nd, and here's how it starts. He says, I was baffled last week by Pete Buttigieg's definition of freedom, which was eloquently stated, rousingly received, and 100% incorrect. Incorrect. To him, any adversity you face in life makes you less free. To him, being free means the government taking care of you from cradle to grave. As a fellow Hoosier, what's a Hoosier?
Indiana, Tom. Come on, that's where I'm from.
Oh, you're a Hoosier.
Who's there?
What is it? Who's there? What is a Hoosier?
That's where it came from. Well, that's the myth. A Hoosier is just the name for the state, and they say, "Well, who's there?" And that just
who's there? Hoosier. Okay, Hoosier. And the author goes on. Jim Treacher. He says, "As a fellow Hoosier, I was taken aback by how much Mayor Pete sounds like a damn communist." I went, what?
Yeah.
He said, turns out there's very good reason. Emily Larson and Joseph Simonson wrote in the Washington Examiner. Here's what they wrote. And I can't believe, we're on the top of all of this stuff. I cannot believe.
I didn't hear about it till you told me this morning. I'm like, really?
I can't believe that no one, even conservative publications, haven't looked into this. I spent a few hours last night and today, and I found some stuff that is unbelievably disturbing. Now, we're at the forefront of an investigation. We here at the United West are going to launch a comprehensive investigation into Mayor Pete's father, his political philosophy, the implications of it, and whether or not it has influenced his son. And if it has, he's got to come clean. He's got to say, I'm a Marxist, and that's just the way it is. Now, here's the problem with non-thinking people. You got a little guy with Alfred E. Newman face. President Trump has nicknamed him Alfred E. Newman. Sometimes you go to Trump, come on, But it's funny. He does look like Alfred E. Newman. So he's cute, and he's very innocent. He's slight of build. He's not a big, tough guy. He doesn't look like a tough guy. So this is in the snowflake world of the leftists, this guy is from Central Casting. How could we improve? Let's make him gay. Okay, he's gay. Perfect, man. How could we improve? Let's have him marry a guy. Wow, he marries a guy.
Wow.
It's celebrated by the left. In fact, his father gave him away at the wedding.
Did he really?
Gave him away at the
I
wedding.
did not know that.
And
So there's a close relationship.
So now we have very, very close, and we're gonna lay out the pieces, and we may have to continue this tomorrow, because when we launch an investigation in the United West, we lay out the pieces, then we connect the dots. This is an investigation in process, but I wanted you to hear that which we know today, and what we're going to tell you we know to be true. This will take probably a week for us to put together and then produce a significant piece on it. But here's what was written in the Washington Examiner.
Well, I just want to be real clear here. So there's not a schism between him and his father. They're still really, really close to each other, and there is a lifelong bond. It's not like someone who says, "No, my dad, no, he's a nut job." It's not one of those, right?
Well, if you're presuming that his father, Joseph Buttigieg, was a hardcore Marxist and wanted a revolution in the United States, and that his son, Pete, was in opposition to that and stood against that, if you're assuming that, then you would be mistaken. if you're assuming that his father is a hardcore Marxist that wanted a revolution in the United States, you're accurate. If you then conclude that his son not only agreed with his father, but loved his father dearly, and as I'll read in a little bit, gave him tremendous accolades in eulogizing him. So you go, wait a minute.
Whoa, wait.
What is going on here? Well, make America think. We now have this individual from Central Casting. You're listening to Tom Trento, J. Mark. On the 26th, day after Christmas, we're giving you some very disturbing information. You have this individual out of Central Casting. He's a nice-looking guy. He is perfect for the left, a front person, just like Obama was in many respects. He was a new black guy, very articulate. What did Joe Biden say about...
He's a clean, articulate black man.
He's a clean, articulate black guy. Joe Biden, unbelievable.
The gift that keeps on giving.
But you got to admit, Obama was a beautiful presentation of the full package.
Yeah.
Intelligent, articulate. They're now comparing Buttigieg, who's like 35, 36 years old, to Obama, but you'll see he's further left than Obama, but he hasn't told everybody yet.
Yeah.
That's the whole trick. So the left, not thinking, accepts at face value Central Casting character to be one of their presidential candidates, considering to be the candidate. Now, is he going to win? Right now, he has no chance of becoming the Democrat nominee.
But it's the ideology that he's one of the top contenders, which is very disturbing. I mean, like socialism now is almost blasé anymore. Like, oh, well, yeah, you're a socialist, okay, that's cool. Now it just that they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing further to the left, and this is where it's going to.
Exactly, and so if he has no chance, according to national polling, of becoming the Democrat nominee, but he does have a chance of doing very well in the Iowa caucuses in 3 months, then why is this guy dangerous? He's dangerous because he is the future of the Democrat. You think he's going to go away? He's the mayor of South Bend, is it?
South Bend, yeah.
South Bend, Indiana.
Which is actually might as well be Chicago.
Is that where Notre Dame is?
South Bend, Indiana?
Yeah. Isn't Notre Dame there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
Yes.
Notre Dame is there.
Yeah.
I know it is. I visited there. I saw Touchdown Jesus on the wall.
Yeah, Touchdown Jesus.
I wanted to go to Notre Dame I was a good Catholic. I wanted to go to Notre Dame as a kid. Yes, Notre Dame is at South Bend. And Pete is the mayor of South Bend. And Pete's father was a professor at Notre Dame.
No way.
Marxist professor at Catholic University, Notre Dame.
I thought he was at Columbia.
Notre Dame for 25
that's his
years.
buddy. His buddy was at Columbia. Oh,
I think Pete went to Columbia, but his father, I think Pete went to Harvard too. How else do you make a central casting leftist figurehead for your millennial future? He's cute, he's articulate, he's very, very intelligent. Now I know why, because he grew up with a father who was a brilliant scholar. He's gay. He marries a man. Everything's going well. Put him in the Army. Oh, that's right. He went to the Army. I forgot. He's a soldier, too. What else can you? The guy has to fly. Can he fly? Can he levitate? We'll see. But he's the future. He is going to be an ideological leader of the Democrat Party, which is becoming not a socialist party, but a doctrinaire Marxist party. Listen to what was written in the expose in the Washington Examiner in April of this year that nobody ever heard of. The father of Democrat presidential hopeful Peter Buttigieg was a Marxist professor who spoke fondly of the Communist Manifesto, oh my God, and dedicated a significant portion of his academic career to the work of Italian Communist Party founder Antonio Gramsci, an associate of. All right, I got to back up. I got to explain what's going on here. I got to take a drink of water for a minute.
I need a shot of whiskey or something. Listening to this, man, this is bad.
So his father, Joseph, was a Marxist professor. He spoke fondly, and I read his fond speaking of the Communist Manifesto. He goes way beyond speaking calmly. And he dedicated a portion of his academic career to the work of, no one's ever heard of Antonio Gramsci, unless you were an Italian communist in the 20s and 30s. And Gramsci, Antonio Gramsci, who died at a young age in prison, was an associate of Vladimir Lenin.
What? You've got to be kidding me.
Marx and Lenin, Karl Marx basically writes the manifesto. Vladimir Lenin then picks up the idea of a utopian society through the revolt of the urban world of the worker party, the proletariat beating the bourgeois, the intelligentsia, the educated party. Well, Antonio Gramsci was an associate of Vladimir Lenin, Marx and Lenin, an associate of Lenin, and said, this stuff's pretty good. I got to take it from the Soviet Union. I got to bring it to Italy because the Italian people need to revolt and overthrow the kings and the rulers and all of that.
And that's World War II. Yep.
And now Gramsci was...
and that ushered in fascism and all that other things.
Very intelligent guy, and he died at 46 years old in prison. And he wrote extensively notes in prison. But his writings essentially were unknown, other than the stuff that was published. So Joe Buttigieg spent his career, his life, being the scribe, if you will, for Antonio Gramsci.
Oh, God.
And took all these prison writings, translated them out of Italian into other languages, into English, and then wrote a compendium of Antonio Gramsci's writings from prison. And jumping ahead, but we're going to detail this point by point. You're listening to Tom Trento, The Trento Show, 47 minutes after 11. J. Mark in the control room. WNN 1470. Today, I was going to do something light, the day after Christmas. But I saw this stuff. I said the world has to, this has to be known. So Joseph Buttigieg, Mayor Pete's daddy, spent his life not only compiling the founder of the Italian Communist Party, not only compiling it, but teaching it. And jumping ahead, Antonio Gramsci's critique of Karl Marx's view of communism was that, and I'll give you here's the money shot right now. Karl Marx said that we have a ruling class based upon capital, people making money for profit. That's unfair, and I'm simplifying communism. We've got to get to a point where there's an egalitarian an equal measure of lifestyle and success among all the people, a communal way of living, not a capitalistic way of living. Communally, if everybody lived together and everybody shared with each other and everybody, then society would be good, everyone would love each other. The fatal flaw, because he was an atheist, Karl Marx, never propagated properly the evil nature of men, of women, that there's an evil nature in us. So Marx wrongly concluded that the evil that exists in society is because a disproportionate amount of money is in the hands of the capitalists. If you equal out the money and everyone has their fair share, then you will get rid of social evils and you'll have a utopian society. That's communism in a nutshell. But Karl Marx goes on to say, you know what, though? We got a problem, folks. Them capitalists, they're not going to give up their money.
They like their money.
They like their money. They like their houses. They like their boats. They like all that stuff. So we ain't going to talk them into this little fairy tale thing we got over here.
This little Star Trek utopia thing, no.
So you read Karl Marx, as I have, and he posits the necessity of a violent revolution to overthrow and kill the capitalists.
Yeah,
that's the way. He says, and citing Hegel's dialectic, you have a thesis, capitalism. It swings the antithesis, which is the revolution against capitalism, and then that brings about a new thesis, which is communalism. Well, Joseph Buttigieg, living in the life and work of Antonio Gramsci, the Italian Communist Party leader, says, you know what? Gramsci had a great idea. And here's Antonio Gramsci's idea. He said, I disagree with Karl Marx that even a revolution is going to result in the utopian form of communism. These people still have guns. They'll still fight all of that. We have to do it another way, a new way. And this is the neo-Marxism taught by Mayor Pete's father that Mayor Pete has refused to repudiate at this point. The neo-Marxism is to, now listen to this, is to infiltrate the culture of a society and get inside their academia, get inside their legal system, get inside their educational system, and get inside their entertainment system. Gain control of these institutions with this new thought, and then from within will create the utopia of a movement away from capitalism to socialism, ultimately to the utopia of communalism, communism.
That sounds like the Muslim Brotherhood plan.
Is it not exactly like the Muslim Brotherhood? To infiltrate from within and defeat America with their own laws?
By their own miserable hands.
By their own miserable hands?
You know what, Tom? I don't believe you. I know this guy wrote about it, but there's got to be like some physical proof that's what this guy believed in. I mean, is there any type of he could have written? But words can be changed.
Yes, at 11:51, we will definitely continue this for tomorrow. We're going to play you a little clip in a second.
Oh, we have actually audio of him saying this stuff?
We have some audio. But
I love it when you have proof comes together.
But continuing with the article in the Washington Examiner, Joseph Buttigieg, who died in January of 2019, he was 71 years old, young guy. He was sick. They never mentioned. He immigrated to the United States from, guess where? Guess where he's from? You won't guess. No. It's a little tiny little island. Malta. He's from Malta.
Oh, okay.
And in 1980, so he came in the 70s from Malta. In 1980, he joined the University of Notre Dame faculty where he taught European literature and literary theory. He supported an updated version of Marxism that jettisoned some of Marx and Engels' more doctrinaire theories of the revolution, though Joseph Buttigieg is undoubtedly a Marxist, no questions asked. People kept calling Beto the white Obama, but Pete is the one with the commie college prof dad.
Wow.
Very interesting. So,
You want to play some audio?
not yet. This explains why Buttigieg's definition of freedom is the opposite of what our founding fathers used.
Yes.
He grew up learning about a very different group of dead white guys. Unbelievable. And the author continues, I suppose it's moot point since Buttigieg has a little chance of winning the Democrat nomination. I just explained that. He's still dangerous. But if he wants to be taken seriously as a candidate, that means people are going to have to take a serious look at his background. And if he doesn't want to be labeled a Marxist like his pop, he better stop saying stuff like this. Don't let anybody tell you the other side is the side that's got a handle on freedom. We are the party of freedom. We shouldn't be afraid to go out there and say it exactly what the Marxists say. Now, in doing a little investigation in this, we came across an interesting point and an interview that Joseph Buttigieg had a couple of years back, 2010. Listen carefully, and you're going to hear a new name introduced. So, check this out.
All right, today we'd like to have a conversation about 20 years of rethinking Marxism. We want to talk about the past and about the future, about the possibility of Marxism in the world today, the way Marxism has been utilized by social movements in the past, and in a neoliberal globalized economy, what the future of Marxism is. And I'm here with two of the most significant contributors, I think, to rethinking Marxism, especially when it comes to rethinking strategies for the socialist future, Joe Buttigieg and Maliha Safri. And I want to begin, Joe, by asking you to tell us what you've been doing over the last few years bringing Gramsci to an English-speaking audience, and how it differs from the way Gramsci has been received in the past.
Well, I've been devoting most of my energies to preparing a complete edition of Gramsci's notebooks with
That's the communist
large
guy.
critical apparatus to bridge gaps of knowledge and gaps of history between us and him. And the reason for this is that when I started, Gramsci was an important point of reference for not only Marxists, but people, for the most part, progressive thinkers, but people working in diverse camps. And the use of Gramsci struck me as extremely selective, and there was relatively little work based on a thorough knowledge of his text. Equally, I was convinced, and this was not just me, when I proposed this project, I really wanted to do another selection of Gramsci's work, which would cover terrain not covered by the existing, though excellent, anthologies like the Hoare and Smith selections from the prison notebooks. And it was, in fact, Edward Said who...
What was that?
What?
Who was that? Edward Said.
Edward Said. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Now, Mark, folks, it's 11:56 in the morning. This is so critical, what you just heard about the future of the United States of America. This is why we are here, okay? We're here to help the world, particularly the United States, and specifically the state of Florida on November 3rd, 2020. The importance of winning on that election, folks. Pete Buttigieg's father, Marxist, in a dialogue in 2010, way before his son ever thought about running for president of the United States, mentions, you see the word with the progressives, and he has his nice English accent and all of that. Then he says, and then our work was done in association with his friend Edward Said. Mark had a heart attack. I had a heart attack. Who's Edward Said? What is going on here?
Oh, the biggest pro-Palestinian knucklehead at Columbia University that ever walked the face of this earth, and it just to us, you might as well be saying, Stalin. Okay, when we hear that name, it's just like, okay,
he might as well be. He might as well. Well, Edward Said is a scholar who wrote Orientalism, and he is known for being a leader in an anti-Israel, Jew-hating, pro-Palestine. He was born in Israel, and he was a leader one of the intellectual leaders of the Palestinian movement against Israel, against the United States. What the heck is Pete Buttigieg's father doing hanging around with Edward Said, and how does that affect the green-red axis, the Marxist and Muslim axis, now prevalent in the Democrat Party?
That's red-green axis on steroids there.
It's red-green on steroid. This is a huge development, and the writers of these articles never did the research to get to the Edward Said part.
Right.
Tomorrow, we're going to bring in the Edward Said part, what this means for every patriotic conservative American, every conservative Jewish person and Christian. This is amazing, and at the forefront of this is Mayor Pete. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
All right, well, I think it's time to...
time to take it out.
Yeah, time to say goodbye. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on Friday the 27th.
Okay.